being hired here as a head coach?
Yeah, I mean, it's just good to come back home, you know. Born and raised here my whole life. So I'm just really excited about the opportunity to come in and take over what I think is a really good football program and try to get it back to, you know, the heights that it was back in the early 90s, you know, when they were winning state championships and things like that. So that's going to be the goal. That's always going to be our focus and what we're striving to do every single day. But, you know, the first 6 months, 7 months on the job has been awesome. I love it here. You know, the kids are great. They work hard. I got a great coaching staff, got a great administration and support system that is really behind athletics, and they kind of see the same vision that I see. So I think it's a really good match, and I think we're going to go a long way.
How much does it help knowing that you grew up from Bayou Lafourche? You know the families, you know the kids. Obviously, when you took the job, you might not know the current crop, but you probably knew their fathers or their uncles, or you probably played with a lot of them. How does that help, knowing that you're familiar, you're a Thibodaux guy, you know Thibodaux?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a cool thing, you know, just being back home and, you know, having familiarity with a lot of the families, like you said, and just, you know, knowing relatives and things like that, or guys, and, you know, kind of seeing people that you knew back when that are, you know, they got kids in school now. So it's been a cool experience, man, and I'm really enjoying it so far, and I think it's just a really good fit for me. Really good fit. I love being back home.
We talked a couple weeks ago. It's a young group overall, and you'll have a lot of production to replace. How does that process go of getting guys up to speed when you know that there's not an easy Friday in Louisiana football?
Yeah, so especially with our schedule, we got a tough schedule. You know, there's no easy games. But yeah, we got a lot of young guys, but we got a lot of talented guys. So it's just a maturity process. The quicker that these guys can mature, the better football team we're going to be. And I think we're on our way. We've had a really good summer, man. We've improved a ton since the spring. You know, coming out of the spring game, you know, we definitely knew we had some holes and we had some things to fix. And heading into, you know, early August, heading into, you know, first week of September, we played Letcher September 1st. You know, we got about 3 or 4 weeks to get ready to go, and I think our guys are going to be ready to go, you know, when it's time to be ready. We're trying to put things together offensively and defensively right now, and we're finally starting to see all of that work that we've been putting in start to, you know, really pay off with some of the young guys. They're getting their timing down offensively. The defense is communicating a lot better. But yeah, you know, we got 16 starters to replace. We lost 9 on offense and 7 on defense. So it's a lot of youth taking over in these starting roles, but it's guys that have been chomping at the bit, ready to go, and just waiting for their number to be called. So, you know, I'm excited to see them go play, but they're just as excited to get out there and produce and show that they're a really good football player as well.
How do you get guys to forget 4 and 6 and work towards one game at a time going into the new season when maybe, you know, sometimes 4 and 6 is hard to get over when, like you just said, you lost 16 seniors, and now guys aren't sure if they can step up and fill that bill. How you get the guys more confident moving forward into the season?
Yeah, so something that we've been preaching every single day is just making sure we get 1% better every single day. So we're just trying to stack good days on top of one another, and I think if we do that, we're going to put ourselves in position to be a really good football team. And then the 4 and 6 thing, we've used it as motivation. You know, nobody, you know, in our locker room right now has been to the playoffs since they've been here. So that's a huge thing that we've talked about every day in the weight room, during conditioning, at practice. We make sure we harp on it, and we make sure they remember. You just got done going 4 and 6. Nobody in this room has experience what a playoff atmosphere feels like on a Friday night. So our guys are hungry to have that experience and see what it's about. So I think really and truly, I think that's actually a beneficial thing that we didn't have a great year last year because it gives them something to work towards and something to not want to, you know, duplicate. So yeah, we just use it as a motivational tool, but we just want to stack good days on top of good days, and we've been doing that. You know, we just tell the guys we can't have 2 bad days in a row. We can have as many good days in a row as we want, but as long as we don't have back-to-back bad ones and we come back after a bad day and have a really good day to make up for it, in the long run, we're going to be all right. So we've had a great summer, though. We had great turnout. The participation's been good. The attendance has been good. And now, you know, heading into fall camp, it's exciting time now because these guys are chomping at the bit to go play somebody else because we've been seeing a whole lot of each other for a long time now, especially in the spring game, did an inter-squad because we weren't ready to go play somebody else yet. I didn't think so. Installing a new offense, installing a new defense, new special teams. We've got 3 different coordinators that weren't here last year. So I didn't want to go out and take away confidence levels in what we're doing and our systems by going to play somebody before we were ready. So I think that was a beneficial thing, just going against each other and making sure we can keep things at the tempo that we wanted to see it. And it's been good, man. It's been fun. And I'm really looking forward to 2 weeks going to play somebody else when we scrimmage South Terrebonne on the 17th.
And like you said, without going through all the players, who are the leaders you see, the main leader, the main guys who you think would be the ones that you're going to be counting on every Friday to lead this team?
Yeah, so we actually voted on team captains yesterday. And we got 2 on defense, 2 on offense. Our 2 offensive team captains, Skylar Morris, he's our starting left tackle, he's a senior, and our starting center, Jackson Grenier, he's a junior. And then defensively, Rashad Jackson, he's a returning starter on the defensive side, he's a senior. Mike linebacker, and Brad Leonard, he's an outside linebacker, a kind of strong safety, hybrid type, he's a senior as well. So, you know, those 4 guys got named captains yesterday, and those are guys that really do things the right way. So I think the group of guys that we have in that locker room did a good job voting and producing the team captains that, as a coaching staff, I think we probably would have picked the same 4 guys. And it shows that they're really understanding what we're trying to do with our program and what we're trying to establish, and making sure that, you know, being here every day, being committed, being accountable is really important. It's not so much as if you're a great player or who is the player. It's more so, you know, just those guys getting after it and being ready to go.
Who's a guy or 2 that maybe not a lot of people outside of this building or this community know that you've just been impressed with strides you've seen from them this offseason, think they're ready for a step forward or surprise some people, just step into a bigger role?
Yeah, so I think obviously our quarterback, he is a sophomore, number 2, Braden Becknow. He was in a quarterback competition in the spring, and, you know, throughout the summer and, you know, fall camp so far early on, he's going to be the guy who is going to take over for us at that spot. And even in the spring game, if you watch the spring game and you come and watch him practice, it's night and day where he was then to where he is now. So he's made tremendous strides, and I think it just came with reps. You know, he was a beginner. It's a new offense. He's a new system. We're trying to get used to each other, figure out terminology. He needs to know where his guys are. He's not sure when they're going to break off routes and things like that. So I think just the progression and timing standpoint from the quarterback position, he's done a great job there. And then another guy, you know, who's done a great job, I can say it about our entire secondary. But, you know, Kimon False, he's a guy that just signed or committed to North Alabama 2 weeks ago, and he's a corner for us, a senior. He's worked his tail off all summer. He's worked his tail off in the spring. He's a really good player. And then the 2 safeties on the back end, Tyler England and Lawrence Bangura, both of those guys have been camping all summer, putting up really good numbers everywhere they've been. And they've had really great summers in the weight room, changed their bodies up a lot. So, I mean, defensively, those are probably the 3 guys that have, you know, stood out and that people don't really necessarily know about, but I think are going to have a really big impact on our football team this season.
I want to play for Coach Drey. How you get that back?
I think people are attracted to winning. So I think the first and foremost point of that is we got to win. We got to win football games, and we got to put something out there that the kids can be proud of and that the community is going to be proud of, because that's going to get everybody rallying around us. And it goes back to, like, you know, what it was back then when they were winning a bunch of football games. We want the stands to be packed, but they're not going to come pack the stands if you're not winning on Friday nights. You know, they'll support it because Thibodaux is a great town, it's a great community. They'll be out here win, lose, or draw, but it's not going to be the standing room only type stuff on the track where you can't fit another butt in the stands until we start winning consistently and winning the games that we're supposed to win. You know, just like I said, we got a tough schedule. You know, we play a really stiff competition, you know, in the non-district slate. 3 out of the 4 teams that we play in non-district went to the semifinals or passed the semifinals last year. And then including in our own district, we got 2 teams that were semifinal teams as well. So we got a tough slate, but, you know, I think we're a good football team too. So that's the thing. When I say winning games that we're supposed to win, I think, you know, we're the 5A football team playing some of these 4A, 3A schools that are really good 4A and 3A schools. But in my opinion, I mean, we should be the team that comes out on top in those games, and it just hadn't been that way. So I think once we turn the corner on that and we win some of the games that we're supposed to be winning, then we'll get Thibodaux back to where it once was.
Coach, will you be